Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're immersing ourselves in quite an intense narrative. It's drawn from a really powerful set of source materials,
Mm.
and it charts this course through childhood privilege, civil war, exile, and eventually the crushing weight of decades-old secrets.
Yeah, the focus is Afghanistan, specifically Kabul back in the 1970s. But it stretches much further, doesn't it? It's about this long, painful search for home,
Yeah,
for atonement.
exactly. We start in Wazir Akbar Khan. At the time, this was the place to be in Kabul, affluent, modern.
But as the source makes clear pretty quickly, that beautiful exterior was, well, just a veneer, really. It
Yeah.
hid these rigid social structures, these deep internal conflicts that shaped everyone's lives.
Right. And this source material gives us such an intimate look at that. How deep-seated class divides, moments of betrayal in childhood, how they just echo across continents, across generations. We're not just tracing a timeline here.
No, it's more like a moral arc we're following. Our mission today really is to pull out the key insights about social caste, about how guilt works, that deep-seated kind, and the profound impact displacement has on who you are.
We want to show you, the listener, the framework that holds this intense story of self-reckoning together.
Mm-hmm.
And the big question driving this deep dive is this. How do love, shame, loyalty, these huge, often conflicting demands, how do they forge destiny?
And maybe even more pointedly, why is the past sometimes literally waiting for you in the ruins of your home country decades later, embodied by the people you left behind?
Yeah. So let's try and unpack this complex tapestry.
Okay, so right from the beginning, the imagery hammers home this huge social and economic gap in Wazir Akbar Khan.
Yeah, it's striking.
You've got Baba's house. It's described as practically a landmark. Marble floors, these beautiful Isfahan tiles, and what, 4 bathrooms?
Yeah, and Calcutta tapestries, a huge crystal chandelier.
Yeah.
It just screams wealth and privilege.
Staggering wealth, really. And then the contrast couldn't be sharper.
Right there in the same garden.
Exactly. At the south end, in the shadow of a loquat tree, there's this small, modest mud hut. That's where the servants live, Ali and his son, Hassan.
And that physical setup, the big house and the hut, it just perfectly mirrors the power dynamic between the narrator and Hassan, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's built on something even deeper than money. It's ethnicity. The narrator's Pashtun, the dominant group historically.
Well, Hassan and Ali are Hazara.
Right, a marginalized minority, often targeted, historically treated almost as servants by Pashtuns. So even in their close childhood bond, that Hazara-Pashtun divide means Hassan is always inherently secondary. His loyalty, his very existence, it's viewed differently.
But despite that imbalance, the sources really stress how close they were as kids.
Oh yeah, inseparable for the first 12 years. Learned to crawl together, played all those games, hide and seek, cowboys and Indians.
And that slightly disturbing one, insect torture, which even then kind of hints at a power dynamic, maybe.
Maybe. What's clear is the narrator's awareness, even as a child, of this caste difference. That fuels some early cruelty. The source gives this detailed description of Hassan.
Yeah, the round face, the bamboo leaf eyes, the cleft lip.
And the narrator's internal thought is quite harsh, likening the cleft lip to a mistake by a Chinese doll maker. It's this subtle reinforcement, isn't it? Hassan is somehow off, imperfect, reinforcing his lower status in the narrator's own mind.
What really stands out for me, though, is how the narrator uses Hassan's loyalty. It's described as absolute, unwavering.
Never denied him anything. That's the phrase used.
Right. Even when Hassan clearly doesn't want to, like firing walnuts with his slingshot at the neighbor's mean dog.
The one-eyed German shepherd, yeah.
He does it because the narrator asks.
Yeah.
That absolute trust just becomes so easy to abuse.
And the abuse is often intellectual, emotional, playing on the fact Hassan is illiterate.
That example of the word imbecile,
Telling him it means smart or intelligent.
and then using it to mock him later, is brutal.
It is. And the narrator feels guilt instantly, the source says. But the way he tries to compensate,
Tossing him an old shirt, a broken toy.
it's completely inadequate. It doesn't touch the actual emotional harm done. It feels almost like another assertion of power, in a way.
You see this moral weight building up so early. And it's interesting how Ali, Hassan's father, provides this kind of early moral compass.
The story about the mirror.
Yeah, warning the boys about using a mirror up in the tree. He says the devil uses mirrors to distract Muslims during prayer and laughs.
It's quite prophetic, isn't it? This lesson about mirrors, reflection, hidden deception. It sets the stage perfectly for the narrator's own reckoning with his hidden sins later on.
And if we connect that private morality to the broader culture of old Kabul, Well, the kite fighting tournament seems to embody the competition and the dedication to custom.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't just kids flying kites for fun. It was serious, dangerous, highly competitive, an old winter tradition.
The details about preparing the line, the tar, it's incredible.
The kite is the gun, the line is the bullet, that's how it's put. Feeding hundreds of feet of string through ground glass and glue.
Layering it meticulously until it could slice an opponent's line and your own fingers, apparently.
Definitely drew blood. But the real honor and the real danger was for the kite runner.
The assistant, yeah. The one who had to chase down the losing kite.
And that required absolute, almost reckless devotion. The source mentions that shocking story.
The boy who fell 30 feet from a tree.
Yeah, broke his back, never walked again. But he held onto the kite. He maintained the custom, because once you have that kite, it's yours. The victory is secured.
That level of devotion is just intense. And Hassan sums it up perfectly with his signature line, which becomes so heartbreaking later.
For you 1,000 times over.
Yeah. It just highlights how custom, class, loyalty,
Yeah.
they all intertwine to make Hassan ultimately the victim of the game. Okay, let's shift focus to Baba, the narrator's father. He's such a contradictory figure.
It's absolute. Publicly, he's this giant, respected builder, founded the orphanage, huge charisma.
The narrator remembers holding his expensive caracal hat at the ceremony, Baba getting cheers. There's real pride there.
That public face, the benevolence, it secured his reputation. But privately, he was deeply defiant, especially towards institutional religion and what he saw as hypocrisy.
Which leads to his famous philosophy about sin.
Right. Theft, that's the one unforgivable sin for him. He argues everything else, murder, lying, even immorality, is just a form of stealing.
Stealing a life, stealing the truth, stealing fairness.
Exactly.
It's such a specific moral code. Why theft, do you think? Why not impiety or violence, which were certainly part of their world?
Well, this is where digging into the source pays off, I think, because as we find out later, Baba's entire life is built on a massive moral theft.
The theft of Hassan's paternity.
Exactly. Stolen from Ali, from his own son, from Hassan himself. So by creating this incredibly strict code around theft, he's creating a prison for himself, isn't he? Punishing himself daily for that huge secret he's keeping.
So his public philanthropy becomes a kind of lifelong atonement.
That's how it reads. Trying to balance the scales for that hidden transgression. And his personal habits show that defiance, too.
The whiskey bar in his study.
Right. Actively flouting religious norms. Buying scotch furtively in brown paper bags from pharmacies.
Calling it his medicine.
Yeah, with a wink. Upholding this facade of moral certainty in public while privately indulging his own rebellion.
This internal conflict makes his relationship with Ali and Hassan incredibly complex, doesn't it?
Hugely. Ali's been with the family 40 years, taken in by Baba's father, treated like a son. But then when the narrator, in his own distress, suggests getting new servants...
Baba just explodes. It's a rare moment of fury described in the source.
Red-faced, furious, tells the narrator, you bring me shame, and then crucially, Hassan's not going anywhere, do you understand?
At the time, the narrator just sees it as loyalty to Ali.
But looking back, you see, it's not just duty. It's driven by this profound, crippling guilt over Hassan being his son, too. The fury is pure defense mechanism, protecting the secret.
And it's all tangled up with Nang and Nemu's honor and dignity, these core Pashtun values.
Definitely. Look at Ali's own marriage to Sanabar, Hassan's mother. It was arranged to restore honor to her family's name, even though Ali was poor.
And she despised him for it, didn't she? Taunted him about his appearance.
Yeah. Said she'd seen old donkeys better suited to be a husband, then she just abandoned them. But the marriage served its purpose in terms of Nang and Nemu's. Maintaining that honor, even if it meant hiding shameful truth, drove enormous life decisions.
Speaking of honor and intensity, the Buzgashi tournament comes up, Afghanistan's national passion. It sounds brutal.
Oh, it's depicted as incredibly violent. It's like polo, but with a goat or calf carcass instead of a ball.
And violence is just part of the game.
Absolutely integral. These highly skilled horsemen, the Chapandas, they battle viciously. Kicking, clawing, whipping, punching, it's all allowed to snatch that carcass and get it to the scoring circle.
It sounds less like sport, more like controlled chaos.
Exactly. And it works as this powerful metaphor for Kabul itself, doesn't it? Fiercely competitive, based on raw power, willing to tolerate shocking violence for status or victory.
And the scene reinforces Kabul's international standing then, too, before everything fell apart.
Right. Baba pointing out Henry Kissinger in the crowd at the Buzkashi match.
Yeah. It reminds you this wasn't some isolated place. It was connected on the world stage right before the collapse.
So that relative peace of 1970s Kabul, despite all those underlying tensions, it just ends
Yep.
abruptly.
The first shock is just sounds, isn't it?
They go
Gunshots, explosions, things those kids had never heard before.
totally foreign sounds. And even though that first burst of violence was short, it was the signal, the end of their insulated world.
And that quiet life quickly spirals into real political chaos. The source gives that timeline.
Yeah, the communist coup in April 78, then the Soviet invasion December 79.
These weren't just government changes. They directly forced Baba and the narrator out onto that terrifying path into exile.
And right on the edge of this collapse, both internal and external, we get properly introduced to the character who really embodies the cruelty that shatters everything, Asif.
It's significant, isn't it, that the source presents this ultimate evil as coming from within their own world, not from the invaders initially.
Very significant. And Asif is unsettling because he's almost the inverse of traditional Afghan masculinity. Physically, son of an airline pilot, German mother.
Blonde, blue-eyed, stands out. He didn't just grow up mean. The source says he had a well-earned reputation for savagery,
And his weapon defined him, those stainless steel brass knuckles.
which earned him that nickname, Asif Gashkor.
The ear eater, after some brutal fight over a kite. The physical violence was always there, but it takes on a new, darker meaning as the wider conflict starts to normalize that kind of cruelty.
The narrator's reflection on him years later is really telling.
Calling him a sociopath.
Right, and noting that there isn't really a good Farsi equivalent for that word.
Which suggests, maybe, that the kind of calculated, internal evil Asif felt somehow foreign, alien to the moral language of their society at the time, an anomaly of deep cruelty.
The political situation forces them to flee. We only get fragments of the journey out, but they're harrowing.
Yeah, the freezing cold in the truck, hiding from patrols, that encounter at the Mahipar checkpoint.
Where the Russian soldier sings the wedding song, Ahista Baro, go slowly, my lovely moon.
Right before letting them pass. It's such a strange, chilling detail. The trauma of the escape itself gets burned into memory.
And that escape leads them eventually to the U.S. Hayward, then San Jose, refugee life.
Joining that Afghan diaspora community, and the place that defines their new existence is the Sunday flea market.
The flea market scenes are incredible, a microcosm of their shattered status.
Totally. All these former elites, ambassadors, surgeons, professors, now running stalls, selling odds and ends.
It's not just about money, though. It's their social hub. Tea, politics, and scandal, as the source puts it, where they keep their community alive.
Maintaining identity, despite selling, junk and secondhand clothes.
But even stripped of everything, Baba, he keeps that pride, that dignity.
Oh, absolutely. The scene where he refuses food stamps in San Jose, Mrs. Dobbins offers them.
And he just won't take them. I work always. In Afghanistan, I work. In America, I work. I don't like it free money. He sticks to his code, even in desperation.
And he still has that charisma, too, yelling, "Fuck the Russia," in the bar, buying rounds.
Still larger than life.
But deeply struggling with the pace, the culture of America, that observation about the flies.
Even flies are pressed for time in the U.S.
It perfectly captures his struggle, trying to reconcile his old life with this frantic new reality.
The story then takes this turn towards mortality, towards responsibility. Baba, who seemed invincible,
Gets sick, serotan, cancer, and insists on hiding it, rejects anybody's sympathy.
the description of his decline is really moving. It flips the father-son dynamic.
Yeah, those small, painful details, the empty space in his shirt collar, the suit hanging loose.
The narrator having to tie his shoelaces for him.
The provider suddenly becomes dependent. It shifts all the emotional weight.
And against this backdrop, the narrator finds a potential future with Soraya Taheri.
Daughter of General Taheri, met at the flea market.
And the narrator makes a point of honoring tradition, asking Baba to perform the Kastagari.
The formal proposal visit. Seeking his father's blessing, his approval. It's important to him.
What's really striking about Soraya, though, is her honesty. It feels radical in that context.
Absolutely. In a society ruled by Nang and Namu's honor, dignity, especially family honor tied to women's reputations, silence about the past was often demanded.
So what exactly did Nang and Namu's mean for someone like Soraya? Why was her confession so significant?
While Nang is more personal honor, reputation, Namu's is collective family honor, heavily tied to the women. Any perceived stain on a woman's past could threaten the entire family's Namu's. So for Soraya to confess her history, her past relationship...
Before they even marry.
Yes. It was a profound rejection of that pressure, that enforced silence, and the narrator immediately envies her.
Her secret was out, spoken, dealt with.
Exactly, which just throws into sharp relief the huge unconfessed secret he's still carrying about Hassan.
Wedding itself, it's a celebration, but it's tied to that trauma of leaving, isn't it?
Beautifully, tragically ironic. You have the joyous Satan dance, but the wedding song.
Aista Boro, go slowly, my lovely moon.
The exact same song the Russian soldiers sang at the checkpoint the night they fled Kabul. The past just refuses to stay buried.
But the real emotional climax connected to the past.
Yeah.
That happened years before back in Kabul.
The planting of the money in the watch.
Yeah. The narrator, eaten up by shame after the alley scene,
Yeah.
desperately wants Hassan gone. So he frames him, plants his birthday money, his new watch.
Intending to prove Hassan's a thief, force Baba to send them away.
And Hassan's response is just devastatingly loyal.
He confesses, says he stole them, knowing full well he didn't. It's the ultimate act of self-sacrifice for the narrator, and the defining moral catastrophe for the narrator himself.
And then Baba's reaction. The man whose entire moral code is built against theft.
Shocks everyone by saying, I forgive you.
The narrator is just bewildered. Why would Baba forgive the unforgivable sin?
And it's only later, perhaps, that the penny drops. Baba could forgive Hassan's lie about theft precisely because he was guilty of the ultimate theft, stealing the truth, stealing paternity. He needed to forgive Hassan's small sin to somehow absolve his own massive one, but he could never forgive the narrator's cowardice towards the boy who was secretly his other son.
And Ali sees it all. He understands the betrayal instantly.
Completely. Despite Baba's forgiveness, Ali says they're leaving. Life here is impossible for us now.
Pulls Hassan close, gives the narrator that cold, knowing look.
It's powerful. Ali chooses Hassan's safety, Hassan's dignity over decades of loyalty to Baba's house. He knows what the narrator did.
So all those years of guilt, silence. It culminates in that phone call. Years later.
Rahim Khan, Baba's old friend, dying, coughing blood, sores on his scalp. The description is grim.
And he offers that cryptic invitation. Come, there is a way to be good again.
The call to atonement, the mission. Go back to Kabul, find Sarab, Hassan's son.
And that's when we learn Hassan's fate. So tragic.
Rahim Khan explains Hassan and his wife, Farzana, went back to Kabul to look after Baba's old house out of interim respect.
Insisted on living in the mud hut, even though the main house was empty.
And Hassan, ever loyal, rebuilt the damaged wall, the wall of ailing corn. But then the Taliban came.
Demanded they leave the house.
And Hassan refused, stood his ground, loyal to Baba's property to the end. He and Farzana were executed right there in the street. His life began with selfless devotion and ended violently defending a house that wasn't legally his, but was absolutely his emotional inheritance. So the journey back to Afghanistan, it immediately highlights the narrator's alienation.
Yeah, the driver, Fareed, his reaction.
Sees him as a tourist, someone who abandoned his watan, his country, and only came back now. Judging him. It forces the narrator to confront the cost of his exile right away.
And the physical state of Kabul. It's overwhelming in the source.
Just devastating. The memory versus the reality. Jeda Maywand, once a main street, now just rubble. A giant sandcastle, buildings full of rocket holes.
Trees cut down for firewood, or because snipers use them.
The city is unrecognizable, and the narrator feels this profound sadness, like meeting an old friend who's become homeless and destitute.
And the new reality is just fear, dominated by the Taliban.
Their red Toyota pickups, the whips, the Kalashnikovs, it's a constant menacing presence. And the social fabric is torn apart, so few adult men left. Father's a rare commodity. That phrase really sticks.
The search for Sohrab leads him to that orphanage.
And the manager, Zaman, reveals this awful truth. Sohrab was taken by a high-ranking Taliban official who uses children.
And in that final, terrible twist.
The official is Asif, the same bully, now with institutional power, reveling in ethnic cleansing and cruelty. It's chilling. The evil he ran from didn't disappear, it just got a uniform.
Finding Sohrab. It's shocking how much he looks like Hassan.
The spitting image, that breathtakingly round face, the Chinese doll look. But he's traumatized. Forced to dance for Asif, head shaved, eyes darkened with mascara.
Like slaughter sheep's eyes. That detail.
It's horrifying. Recalling the Eid of Korban tradition, putting mascara on the sheep just before sacrifice, equating the boy with a lamb being led to slaughter.
The final confrontation. Asif pulls out the brass knuckles again.
The same weapon. and just brutally beats the narrator. Shattered jaw, punctured lungs, swallowing teeth. The injuries are severe.
But in the middle of it all, he starts laughing.
That laughter is everything. It's the key to his decades of guilt. He wasn't mad. He felt vindicated.
Vindication, salvation, redemption. That's how the source puts it.
He's finally getting the punishment he felt he deserved for betraying Hassan. The debt is being paid, physically.
And salvation comes immediately after, from Hassan's son.
Sohrab picks up his slingshot just like his father, like Ali, and fires a brass ball right into Asaf's eye, defending Amir. It's this incredible moment of inherited loyalty, fulfilling that family legacy.
After he recovers physically, jaw wired shut, Amir takes that final, crucial step.
He calls Soraya and tells her everything, the whole story of betraying Hassan.
He finally confesses. And just like Soraya felt relief releasing her secret, he feels that decades-long burden lift.
And he finds this new connection with Sohrab, a fragile kinship, the source calls it. Sohrab is withdrawn, crushed by shame and trauma.
I don't want them to see me. I'm so dirty and full of sin. It's heartbreaking.
And Amir consoles him, realizing their bond is now forged in that shared trauma, that shared path through suffering and atonement.
And in that moment, he finally finds the words to explain Baba.
Tells Sohrab he thinks Baba loved us equally but differently, and that Baba wasn't ashamed of Hassan, he was ashamed of himself.
It feels like closing the loop on that generational secret.
It does. Then the focus shifts to the practicalities. Getting Sohrab out, getting him to America.
The adoption process looks impossible. No agency will go into Taliban-controlled Afghanistan.
But relief comes through Soraya's cousin, Sharif Yan. He manages to secure a special visa, humanitarian sponsorship.
So Sohrab can come to America. But the final hurdle is Sohrab's deep fear.
Making Amir promise he'll never be sent back to an orphanage. That's the core of his trauma now. #outro.
So this deep dive, it's really shown us how those powerful ideas of honor and dignity, Naang and Namus in old Kabul, how they dictated behavior, how they forced terrible secrets like Baba's paternity underground.
Leading to decades of trauma, betrayal, devastation, really.
But we also see the path to redemption. Rahim Khan's idea, guilt leads to good. It's realized here, isn't it?
Yeah, redemption isn't just being forgiven. It's portrayed as this active, life-changing commitment, choosing love over fear, trying to right a past wrong, even generations later. It's in the narrator's return, his suffering, his sacrifice to bring Sohrab home.
And that final image the source leaves us with, it's incredibly moving.
The narrator in America flying a kite for Sohrab, despite his injuries.
Feeling 12 again, all those old kite-fighting instincts rushing back after 25 years. And seeing, in Sohrab's hands on the spool, this faint echo of Hassan.
It's quite beautiful. The muscle memory for that Afghan tradition, the kite flying, it survived everything. War, exile, betrayal. It came back instantly.
But Sohrab remains silent, scarred.
Right. And that leaves us with the final question, I suppose, for you, the listener. We see this profound generational power of loyalty, of love. But can one act of redemption truly heal wounds that deep? Wounds inflicted by history, by class, by betrayal?
Or does Sohrab's silence? Does it represent a scar that just remains too deep to ever fully fade?